It is Monday, February 20th, 9:56 a.m. Central Standard Time. Streaming a little bit later than normal, but we are here nonetheless. Crypto market cap sitting at $1.132 trillion. Bitcoin dominance sitting at 42.5%. Bitcoin has risen a bit since our last stream. It's trying to break through 25K, 25.1, 25.2. ETH sitting at 1708, BNB 317, Cardano nearing 41 cents, Matic nearly $1.50. My goodness. A lot of these cryptos are recently have seen a bit of an uptrend. We'll see how long this lasts. Taking a look at the Dow Jones Industrial, it does look like we are in the green for the day, at least for the time being. Again, we'll see how this carries over as we head later into the day. Bitcoin on the minute chart, we can see a few hours ago, roughly about 15, about a day ago, we reached about 25, 190, got rejected. Ultimately, went as low slash capitulated as low as 23,850. Since then, the bulls have driven price back up along the line of support right around 24.8. They bounced off of that a few times. They bonked their heads right around 25.1 a few times, which is rather interesting to point out because this is slightly lower than where they got stumped out about a day ago. So maybe there's something there to pay attention to. Maybe there isn't. Personally, I do think we will not see higher prices out of Bitcoin. I don't see 30K in the cards or anything like that. Maybe something a little bit up to 25.3, 25.4, and then ultimately capitulate lower. But again, I'm rather bearish right now with everything that's going on macro economically speaking. So that's why I view things as a result. DXY seems to have found a little higher support. It did go as high as roughly 104.6, and then has retraced a little bit below 103.8. And seems to have found a new support right around this level. Again, we'll see if this holds. If this continues to rip higher as time moves forward, we will see stonks and crypto get smashed as a result. Head to Twitter for some news. El Salvador's Bitcoin loving president has won over Wall Street, according to Bloomberg. Then you win. Dot dot dot. Restaurant price. This restaurant prices all of its foods in Bitcoin. Just give you an idea of how expensive some of this food is. We can see that Caprinia at the bottom is 10,000 sats. Agilia 500. Agua. Jesus Christ, I can't read. Agua is about 5,000 sats. Um, would you trade your hard-earned Bitcoin for some food? If restaurants offered you to pay in Bitcoin, maybe receive some sort of discount for paying in Bitcoin. Rather interesting concept. Kind of cool. The restaurant like this is doing something like that. SEC claims Do Kwon moved Luna's 10,000 plus Bitcoin and turned some into cash through a Swiss bank, according to Bloomberg. I would like to see the receipts for this. I'm not denying their claim because Do Kwon definitely got rich off of rug pulling hundreds, if not thousands, of people. So, a woman in her 70s transferred over $200,000 to suspicious Bitcoin address belonging to an individual she was dating online. Uh, Story goes they never spoke again. That's quite the wild turn of events. Imagine you're on Tinder, you're a grandma or whatever, you're a lady in your 70s, and you meet this person online, and you happen to give them. I don't know why you would so willingly give them a fifth of $1 million, but especially to a Bitcoin address, but to each to their own. um, hashtag Bitcoin. I wish I kept my 1,700 Bitcoin at 6 cents per piece instead of selling them at 30 cents a piece. Now that they're $8, goes to show just how crazy, um, how crazy Bitcoin has exceeded everyone's expectations with performance wise. I mean, look at this. $8 back in 2011. So 12 years ago, Bitcoin was sitting at $8. This guy was salty that he sold his Bitcoin at what's it called? The gains is retarded is what I'm trying to emphasize. Pardon my non-politically correct wordage there. But yeah, could you imagine selling Bitcoin for that cheap and then seeing it nowadays sitting right around 25K? Probably be shitting my pants personally. Shell, one of the world's largest oil and gas companies, is sponsoring the Bitcoin conference. Yeah, probably nothing accurate. Here we have SEC protecting everyone from Kraken staking. Meanwhile, FTX, Luna, Three Arrows Capital, Celsius, Voyager, BlockFi all screwed the pooch, screwed the retail investors. I'm glad the SEC has got our back, sarcastically speaking. February special, spend with Binance card this month and enjoy up to 14% cash back. Uh, I would tread lightly when Binance and other big currency, sorry, other crypto exchanges are offering promotions like this. It could be a way to suck in liquidity because, as we know, with FTX collapse and everything and the FUD surrounding that, a lot of outflows happened over at Binance. Are we seeing a repeat with the recent attack by the SEC? And is Binance trying to recapture some of that liquidity? Could possibly be, could be nothing. I don't know. I like to lean on the side of caution just because we're talking about our financials and stuff like that. Here we have Kamala Harris claiming the United States has formally determined that Russia has committed crimes against humanity. Again, pointing the finger. It's always easier to do that than admit that you effed up and did something wrong to contribute to the horrible situation. And here we have Biden going to Kiev or visiting East Palestine. I'm glad this president that we have in office has their priorities straight, because Zelensky, he's the utmost importance. He should be at the top of the president's list to take a visit to, to go and see. Here we have Biden making a surprise visit to Ukraine. Look, they're trying to reenact the infamous kiss between Joe Biden and Mr. Harris, Kamala Harris's husband. Here we have Biden announcing that U.S. tax dollars will go towards supporting Ukrainian social services and paying for government pensions. Wow, I'm glad my tax dollars are going to support the governmental pensions of government workers in Ukraine. Like, my goodness, where are the tax dollars going? It's ridiculous. White House insiders leak when asked if the things in the Ukraine, if he thinks the Ukrainian conflict successfully bleeding and weakening his targeted enemies. Biden responded, "Yeah, Germany is finished, but I think the rest of the EU may take a few more months." What is that even supposed to mean? Uh, Zelensky over in Ukraine making the claim there will be world war if China allies itself with Russia. I think we're already kind of seeing that, but to each their own. The war needs to be fought so much that you need to tie up citizens who are trying to flee a war zone. This is what Ukrainian troops do over in Ukraine. Taxation is the price you pay, so puppet regimes can humiliate and torture innocent civilians for trying to flee a war zone. I'm sure Zelensky's proud that these soldiers did such a thing. Here we have European MP Mike Wallace condemning U.S. attack on Russia's Nord Stream pipeline. Pulitzer Prize winning journalist Seymour Hersh just published a report that presents detailed claims that on President Biden's orders, the U.S., with Norway's help, blew up the Nord Stream pipelines. This was a premeditated terrorist attack on European critical infrastructure, is also environmental terrorism. Does the EU care? Hirsch says the U.S. did it. Did you ask him? Has the EU become so subservient to the U.S. empire that you can't even ask them if they did it? You are an effing joke. Mike Wallace calling the situation for what it is. It's rather ridiculous that we can't even bring up the question. Did the U.S. possibly, sabotage the pipeline, bomb it? I mean, you have President Biden literally saying, I believe early last year, like, yeah, we'll find a way to make sure the pipeline no longer works or whatever. He more or less said something along those lines. But you can't take what he says very seriously because he's an old man. He's not all there. Like, my goodness. Here we have Judge Napolitano saying, I probably butchered his name. The Ukrainian war is depleting American ammunition. The only people who benefit from this war are those within the military industrial complex. Wholeheartedly agree. A lot of war pigs profiteering from the current entanglement / engagement over in Ukraine. Meanwhile, citizens abroad, right there in Ukraine itself, and citizens across the world suffer for the decisions made by their governments. Ohio just needs to identify as Ukraine already. Then it'll get the assistance needed over there. Problem solved. Interesting how that works, right? You can go visit Ukraine. You can be this guy. Go to Ukraine, hand Mr. Zelensky $500 million check. Meanwhile, citizens in East Palestine, Ohio, are suffering from chemical exposure because a train got derailed, then got blown up, and the citizens are just told, oh well, the water's safe to drink, the air's safe, don't question anything. Like, what's going on, you guys? Just give you a timeline of the train derailment that occurred just a few weeks ago over in East Palestine, Ohio. On February 3rd, 38 train cars were derailed traveling through East Palestine, Ohio. 11 of the cars happened to be carrying hazardous materials inside. 2 days later, the governors of Ohio and the state of Pennsylvania signed off on plans to burn the chemicals. Why did they make this decision? 3 day later, on February 6th, at 3:30 p.m., crews released vinyl chloride into trenches dug around the derailment site and ignited the chemicals on fire. 9 days later, East Palestine holds town hall to address the concerns of many citizens in the region, and consequently, Norfolk Southern backs out from attending the town hall. What gives? What do you guys think? Here, I'm going to play this little clip.
To East Palestine, Ohio. It's a sweet, patriotic community. 5,000 people live here. They have homes here. Their children go to school here. There's playgrounds, businesses, restaurants, and there's also a train track that runs right through the center of town. And on that train track, there was a massive derailment a couple days ago. Chemicals spilled into the air and into the water and into the soil. These people have to live with that now forever. Worse yet, the government came along and then lit it all on fire, sending a black, toxic plume of smoke directly into the atmosphere. And then they told everyone to go back into their homes. Everything's safe. But there's been no reassurances. And in order to compensate these people, the railroad responsible has given them $5 whole. We think that's wrong. And so we're here today. We've identified the 20 homes closest to that toxic burn, and we're going to walk up to those homes and we're going to hand them $1,000. And we're going to say, we're sorry this happened to you. We don't need the government to come in and save us or help us out. We, the American people, can help each other out. That's the way it's supposed to be. Let's go do that.
$5? If I got $5 and you released hazardous chemicals in my neighborhood, in my town, in my city. You're gonna give me $5 for the inconvenience? Oh man, heads are gonna roll. That's all I gotta say. I hate to pull a Negan from The Walking Dead, but my goodness, heads are gonna roll if I'm gonna get $5 for a toxic chemical spill in my part of the country. You're out of your mind. Government's crazy. Continuing off of that, the toxic chemical spill over in East Palestine, Ohio. This is affecting other surrounding areas. I'll just play part of this clip.
I got a DM. Okay, hey man, I'm an environmental scientist living and working in Montreal right now. I seen your video in the Fallout Plume. I just want to give you a bit of a further info for any further videos. After doing some testing, the fresh snowfalls around the area are reaching pH levels around 4 to 5, which can be classified as acidic precipitation. Also, within the same snowfalls, we're measuring contaminants ranging between 1,400 and 1,800 parts per million. To put that into perspective better, a pH of 4 or lower will kill most fish, and water with a contaminant part per million above 500, and they're right now finding 1,400 to 1,800 parts per million. Water with a contaminant part per million above 500 is considered unfit for consumption. This is newly gathered data, and I feel without a platform myself, I'm unable to do anything about it. There's little to no coverage of it in the media, and what you're doing to get the message out is what needs to be done in times like this. This is even crazier. Another thing I have to add, well, yes, there is vinyl chloride in the atmosphere and hydrochloric acid in the cloud systems. A lot of what's being found on the ground actually contains phosgene. Now, this sounds legit because in my last video from the Washington Post, they said that phosgene was one of the chemicals that's released when the vinyl chloride is burned. So this makes sense. This is lining up with the Washington Post article. A lot of what's being found on the ground actually contains phosgene. This was used as a chemical weapon in World War I, very unsafe to be around. Levels we are seeing are not enough to quickly cause long-term effects, but definitely enough to make people sick and cause further complications later in life. Holy shit, man. I messaged this guy. I want to do a podcast with this guy ASAP and find out more of what he has to say. And any other environmental scientists out there who are
like, why are they not covering this? This is going to affect millions of people in the United States one way or another. As we discussed the other day, the Ohio River happens to, I believe, supply water or at least affect roughly like 10% of the population in the U.S., but mainstream media won't cover it. This is crazy. Even more proof that the EPA is lying to the people of East Palestine. The water is insanely contaminated. Absolutely not safe to drink. Look at this shit. Come on. Would you drink that? Would you realistically drink that? I certainly wouldn't. I wouldn't touch that water with a 10-foot straw, 10-foot pole. Looks like the toxic cloud from Ohio has reached Canada. People are seeing chemical rainbows in the melted snow. This is now an international ecological disaster caused by corrupt governmental officials, hoping nobody would notice, but gigs up. We're noticing shit like this, and we're putting two and two together. What you guys think you're getting away with is extremely effed up, and it needs to stop. There are too many coinciding events and coincidences for my comfort level right now. Massive 5-acre fires broken out of a warehouse storing plastic plant pots in Kissimmee, Florida. Hazmat teams are monitoring air quality due to the large amount of smoke coming from the burning plastics. Residents with breathing issues should remain indoors, according to officials. Interestingly enough, about a week or so before the train derailment in East Palestine, they started this My ID program. I'll just play the clip.
Call us conspiracy theorists, but does this seem a little too coincidental to you guys? 3 months ago, East Palestine, Ohio, ran a pilot program to respond to emergency situations. It gets better. They handed out free digital IDs called My ID, starting on January 26, 2023, just days before the train derailment. The MyID digital ID is a tracker with a QR code that tracks long-term health status of East Palestine residents, including, and I quote, difficulty breathing. It's almost like they knew something we didn't.
Anna County coverage now, and East Palestine is known as the place to be. It's way ahead of the curve on a program to provide better treatment for anyone in the event of an emergency. I learned how it works and how it could help everyone in East Palestine. MyID provides quick medical information for emergency responders. Darlene Chapman is the outreach coordinator for this project, and she's an EMT.
If they're in a situation where they can't tell us or they don't have any family around, this is something that would make my life easier.
MyID works by taking a camera phone and pointing it at a QR code. It provides valuable medical information such as allergies, breathing difficulties, or other conditions, so you get proper treatment and care.
If anybody sees the QR code, you'll be able to scan this and get the information. So it helps that person, not necessarily just here, but anywhere in the nation.
There are a few options for MyID: a bracelet, key fob, necklace, or attachment on your watch band. You can choose the one which fits your lifestyle best. That's up to you. Orders will start in January. The fire department has already collected $5,000 in donations to help.
That's our ultimate goal. We want to be able to give this for free to the citizens and provide them with that extra layer of care so that we can better treat them.
The offer includes Unity Township, which is served by the East Palestine Fire Department. These items cost around $20 each. You can even buy it for yourself. The fire department is hoping you'll be willing to wear it.
So the whole idea behind this is if an emergency occurs, this device will track if you're having heart problems, breathing problems, whatever it may be. It'll give a digitized receipt, more or less, about your medical history, your medical reports, stuff like that. The whole thing that people are kind of drawing the connection to between this and the situation in East Palestine. Well, a lot of people are going to have a lot more breathing problems if they live in this region near East Palestine where the chemical spill occurred. Meaning these people are more likely to adopt the technology. Essentially, the train derailment is being looked at as an inside job because it's going to force people to adopt these basically digital IDs that has your medical history and whatnot, and possibly future train derailments will be used just like this one to test out the kinks in the technology and such. So make of that what you will. Pretty crazy stuff. This TikToker shows how they pack
So we are
snow.
getting a fresh fall right now.
They pack it together and then they try and light it. They bring it inside. They put a lighter up to it, and it's not melting. There's no droplets of water coming from the packed snow. According to them, it smells like burnt plastic. So it's definitely not the usual snow we all know and love. So what's going on there? To think that the air is completely safe, if this is what we're seeing, I think that's a big fat lie, government, but just my 2 cents. After 17 years of an activity, just 2 weeks before the train derailment, Palestine, Ohio, CDC added the technology profile for vinyl chloride from 100 parts per million, particles per million, to 100,000 particles per million, massively increasing the lethal exposure level and removing info about how the chemical affects children. Interesting. So they did basically an 1,000x on particles per million for what's considered toxic. And this was conveniently done before the train derailment. Pretty crazy stuff. Again, I need to read into this a little bit more, but I thought I'd share that. I was sent that by a friend. And and it's like it makes you wonder, why do we even trust these agencies? Why do we trust big pharma and stuff when you have um, Fauci recommending the most toxic drug imaginable for HIV/AIDS back in the 80s? Uh, One person I interviewed, his brother was perfectly healthy and had been persuaded to go on a high dose of AZT, the treatment that Fauci was recommending. He was dead within a year, but also his face melted away. It's like Hiroshima, very powerful radiation. Like, I don't get it. Why do we trust people like Fauci, agencies like the CDC, when they've proven to us time and time again that they are grossly negligent? They are not following the science. I'm sorry. My video might get flagged for, you know, for me saying that, but if it does, it just even furthers the point that they are indeed not following the science. Interestingly enough, conspiracy theorist Alex Jones predicted pandemics and forced medical procedures over 20 years ago. I would strongly recommend you check out this clip. It really puts things into perspective, makes you wonder if he was right about this, maybe he was right about a few other things. And that's what governmental agencies, the establishment, big propaganda, they're all against you starting to question things, because the second you do, the more you start to question everything. They don't want that. Second World War style rationing on petrol, household energy, and meat could help to fight climate change, according to British scientists now recommending this. Wow, crazy stuff. I hope you guys are ready for some rations over in the UK. Is this a prelude for things to come here in the United States? Here we have World Economic Forum saying it out loud that they're planning to use smart devices on air conditioners, smart TVs, electric vehicles, so the state can take aggressive action and shut them down when the grid is being overloaded. So yeah, go buy your EV, because the government can just shut it down if the grid is supposedly overloaded for whatever reason. Here we have Dr. Mike Yeadon saying, when people tell you what they're going to do, don't ignore them. So when the UN and Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab tell you, you won't be traveling, you won't have a private car, you won't own anything, and you'll be happy, you probably won't live in your own house. You'll be using much less energy for everything, including heating, manufactured goods, and so on. When they tell you that, you should assume that they're serious about it. And we've time and time again that these individuals are implementing policies across the globe to make this reality that seems like to us just a wet dream of theirs a reality. So yeah, take what they say very seriously. Here we have a 12-year-old destroying the dystopian reality of 15-minute cities. Um, How dare you steal my childhood and my future and the future of all children by enslaving us in your crazy digital surveillance prison? The idea behind a 15-minute city is that if you were to live in a city like Chicago or London, wherever it may be, a big city, the city will be sectioned off into sectors, little quadrants, so to speak, and you will have to ask the council or your highness, whatever it may be in your jurisdiction, whether you can leave your zone or your quadrant to visit your grandmother, your friend, whatever it may be. This is a very, very dangerous precedent that we are seeing being set by government officials around the globe. And that's why I thought I would share this clip with you guys. But besides this clip, that about does it for today, you guys. I will leave you guys with a clip to enjoy as we end the video. But if you did enjoy today's stream, found it informative, educational, entertaining, any way, shape, or form, please like and subscribe, share it with your friends and family. Algorithms definitely bogging down where our video lies in the algorithm and such, how many people get to see it and such. So I'll play the
I
clip.
can stand here and say more or less what other people are going to say about the effect of these 15-minute neighborhoods, soon to become digital ID facial recognition zones. Let's say my friend lives in zone 3 and I'm in zone 1. If, for example, I went to my friend's house in zone 3, my parents normally come and pick me up in their car. It only takes 10 minutes. So does that mean that they would have to go round the ring road and back into town again? If my mum or dad had to drive round the ring road, it would take 30 minutes, causing much more pollution and leaving a much bigger carbon footprint. They will say, you can walk home. Would that be safe for me to walk home? Me as a 12-year-old walking home in the dark alone. Is that really going to be safe? Then they will say, oh, don't worry about that. We've already thought of that. You'll be safe. We will have 1,000 cameras on the streets following you and tracking you all the way home. Oh, and just remember, it's for your safety.
It's the claim they always make.
Are you serious? Do you really think I want to be watched every second of the day? Are you serious? Thousands of cameras tracking my every move until I get home. At this point, I have to ask, is my safety that important to me that I want to be followed by cameras all the way home? Or do I prefer to have freedom than privacy? For your information, I still would feel safe. No amount of cameras is going to stop someone who wants to attack me.
That's right.
I want to be safe, but not to the extent that I am prepared to give up my freedom and my privacy to have it. As a 12-year-old, I am really concerned about my future. And to Klaus Schwab, I say this. How dare you? How dare you steal my childhood and my future? And the future of all children by enslaving us in your crazy digital surveillance prison. We all know where this is leading. These are the first steps of a dystopian reality.
It's true.
15-minute neighborhoods. From a small seed, a huge tree can grow. Climate change is being used to control us, to nudge us in the direction the greedy people want us to go. The truth is that the greedy people want total control over everything we do, everything we think, and everything we say. Our government has been hijacked by greedy and selfish imposters posing as politicians. They believe they are better than us and masters over us. And until this problem is effectively dealt with, the tyranny will continue. Thank you.
Very well spoken by a 12-year-old. It astounds me that a 12-year-old can vocalize what she says and feels or whatever much better than grown men can do. Like, I know, I'm not gonna say their names, but I know plenty of people that I went to school with, high school with, that can't fathom what she just said. Like, they how dare you? How dare you question the science? Like, go F yourself. I know people with credentials that got everything wrong about the pandemic. They went to school for this shit. And they're telling me I don't know what I'm talking about and they got everything wrong. Like, look in the mirror, buddy. I don't know. It's just I'm just ranting now, but I love the way she vocalized that. And you know, you could argue she's like the anti Greta Thunberg, like she's being used as a political tool on the right or whatever, or you know, anti-establishment Greta Thunberg. But I think she really believes most of what she's saying, because it's true. Would you give up all your privacy for a little sense of security? Oh, well, these cameras are going to watch you, you know, as you walk home. Don't worry about anything, little girl. There's not going to be a bad man looking to, you know, do bad things to you when it's dark outside. Yeah, there's 100 cameras, but that bad person's still a bad person. You really think just like the no gun signs at schools, you really think that's going to prevent a bad person from doing bad things? Like, let's be real here, you guys. Bad people are going to do bad things whether there's laws that supposedly prevent them from doing so or not. It's crazy, but I'll leave it there. Until tomorrow, you guys, 9:15, 9:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Please take care and invest wisely. And again, if you enjoyed today's stream, found it educational and informative, entertaining, any of the above, please like and subscribe and share.